Are we ready? Mm-hmm. All right. Welcome to Sunlight Soul. We are going to draw some cards. No, that's the way it goes. It's supposed to be like that. There's no perfection in reality, everybody. You just got to go with what you got. So we're going to pull some cards on this post-ecliptic energy heading into the final lunation of the last solar year of 2025 through 2026 here. And so right now we're heading into this new solar year that's going to begin on March 20th. And before then, we have a new moon in Pisces. So we're going to be pulling some energy on that, and reading some of the cards here to help give us a understanding what this could mean for you and all of us.
Exactly. And we are in Mercury retrograde still until the 20th. So Mercury goes direct alongside with us entering into the new astrological year, as Aaron mentioned, with the beginning of the Aries season. That will be on the 20th. But prior to that, we will have this Piscean new moon, which will officially close the eclipse season, which we are still experiencing the after effects of at the moment, and it will be evolving over a long period of time because, of course, we just experienced the first new moon solar eclipse in Aquarius, and this is kind of happening alongside with everything else that's happening with the Saturn Neptune in Aries, the recent conjunction. Venus just had a conjunction with Neptune and Saturn over this past weekend, and Sun will be having the conjunction with both. So there is a lot to look forward to even before the end of this month, and alongside with all of that, not to forget, Jupiter will be stationing direct tomorrow. We probably will be releasing this alongside that point sometime. As we're recording this, both Mercury and Jupiter are retrograde, so just bear with us.
Yeah, and something to keep in mind during this new moon in Pisces, we are going to have Venus squaring Jupiter going direct at about 15 degrees, a few minutes of Aries, and 15 degrees, a few minutes of Cancer. So this cardinal energy, mixing the water and the fire here, the spark that keeps on starting. And what kind of spirit are we realizing through this Pisces transition? Hopefully we can get a little bit of information to help give us some language, some forms for potential.
And this will be the final new moon on 28 degrees. We had this little bit of a interesting pattern going on since the new moon in Libra we experienced in October, when all these new moons ever since were on 28 degrees, which is the number 10, the number of reset, which is the year we're experiencing at the moment. So this will be the final one. This new moon in Pisces as the final lunation of this astrological year will be the final new moon on 28 degrees. The one in Aries in April will be already on 27, and then the number will start decreasing rapidly. And also the last thing to mention is that this will be the first new moon in Pisces ruled by Neptune, with Neptune in the sign of Aries. So that's a very important energy to consider, all in after effects of these eclipses we are ending the digestion of right now, but will continue for a while yet to come. So should we start with Moonology?
Yeah, let's do it.
As we are coming out of eclipses slowly but surely. So, let's see. So what is the intention? We are wanting to know what was there for us to learn with regards to these energies of eclipses, the first eclipse season of 2026, and moving into the final lunation of this astrological year, and then crossing over into the new one with the after effects of Pisces New Moon we will be enjoying on March 18th. So here we go. What are the... we have 3 cards. So there is a releasing, meant to be, watch for signs, and then at the bottom of the deck we have the boundaries. All right. I can start. Where, of course, being the Pisces season and coming out of this Virgo full moon lunar eclipse after effects, there is a lot that we are releasing, digesting to know what it is that we're releasing, what will be eliminated. Of course, now being in this year of the fire horse, so no longer in a snake, things are happening very quickly, and this is something which I've been experiencing in my life. I'm sure many others, that we are moving through these energies of the past very quickly. They come, and then you have to experience whatever you have to experience, and then they move again quickly. So there is a lot of releasing. You can see there is a full moon, there is a person holding the hands. I feel this is kind of, you can say it's in God's hands or it's in your higher self hands, whoever's hands, but at the end of the day, we are moving somewhere which is meant to be. You can see there are three figures, we can tell it's your higher self, your inner self, your whichever self, but it is a co-creation. We are always in a process of co-creation on this planet. And like the universe is teaching us, especially with Mercury in Pisces and now retrograde, to learn the language of your soul, which is different for different people. That's why we have this butterfly here as the process of metamorphosis. And it's very interesting that it's showing as black on that screen, the card, where actually it's green. So I'm not quite sure why that is. And here we got the boundaries, which, I can definitely speak of a little bit more, but I want to give you a chance to say what you feel you see with regards to these cards.
So, releasing, that is anything that's created, in a sense, things coming into form is a release from the void of the ineffable, from potential, the freedom of not knowing, and then it's released into this felt presence of experience or the form of conception. And then within that resonance, the laws of relation, there's a friction which rises, and we understand what it is that's truly unique in an experience of us, an expression of us in relation to what's rising and what isn't. And that a lot of our releasing isn't about this is bad for me, I'm going to cut it away. It's about a process of realizing through the progression of an experience. So what once was good for you, as you go through the process of relating with it, whether that's caffeine, food, a job, any relationship with someone, you realize, I'm not completely in resonance with this person, this idea, this concept any longer. I'm going to release that. And in that process of realizing, you find this meant to be here, the higher self, the holy trinity of the self, Hermes, Trismegistus, and it's about unifying what you think you know with what could be, and finding a limitation in how do you break beyond concepts when you can't imagine what you haven't even conceived. So it's about releasing into allowing this creative flow to rise up within us. And this weird black card that's actually green. It's about creation. It's about what could be. There's 3 major butterflies on this card and 2 more, so there's 4 more. There's 7 butterflies here total, which is the number of spirit, Neptunian energy, the higher frequency of Venus. And you can see we've got this moon here, this crescent moon facing upwards. And it in this card, you can see it looks like it's in a holy vessel. It almost reminds me of the Vestal energies, the purity of the fire, in learning how you walk on your path with this me, myself, Irene, this holy trinity of self, Hermes, Trismegistus. And it's about the past, present, future. And is what it is you're looking at or you're moving forward something that you want to be merging with, creating through in the future? Does it honor who you are, not just now, but who you're growing into? If not, leave it in the past with the energies of where you've, an honoring of the past, where you've come from to get to where you're going. And that's how I'm reading these energies. It's about creation.
And it's interesting that here on this card we have 3 women, and here on this card we have 3 male figures. So it's like also like learning to put boundaries where needed in order to protect this new, because also on this one, if you can see, there is a one lone figure there underneath that triangle. So it really feels to me, just by looking at these 4 cards, that we definitely have gone, and I'm sure many people can feel it in their being, and maybe that's why this card is black even though it's green, because it's like the void space. Like we kind of gone through some kind of rebirth portal over here in this Aquarius new moon conception of an energy that will be, you know, we will be interacting with for well, a long time, next 2,000 years, but I mean with Pluto in Aquarius until 2043-44, which is when Pluto will move into Pisces. So it's interesting, we are Pisces season, talking about this upcoming Pisces new moon, which will be the last one of this astrological year and all the rest of it. So definitely this Aquarius season, even though already with the influence of the fire horse, created some kind of portal of death and rebirth, I feel. And I feel that more and more of us are allowing the intuition, the feminine energies, you know, so it's, you know, purple, so that's like the higher chakras, dark blue, you know, your third eye and stuff. But yeah, the receptivity, the divine feminine, the ability to trust to the intuition guidance, you know, that's pretty much the only thing that is going to be, you know, available for you, unless you want to go insane and get lost in that haze of information out there, is the guidance from within. So that this butterfly effect, this rebirth of the self has to be protected. So it's like, yeah, we're stepping into this new journey. Here is a lone figure on a journey. We know you're never alone, and here there are 3 figures, you know, like walking in this blue sand towards, you know, whatever is the purpose, destiny, whatever. And it feels that this new energy has to be protected through boundaries. That, just like Aaron said, that, you know, you might have been working towards something, being surrounded by people and stuff, and now maybe throughout these eclipses, and more specifically the Virgo full moon, because full moon, you realize things that you didn't know before, that now you're digesting and acknowledging that, okay, well, now I understand something I didn't last year in September when we had the new moon solar eclipse in Virgo. So it's time to protect this, to put a boundary, or maybe to not be stricter, but be more conscious about where we are leaking energy. I think this is an important thing, perhaps, that we are discerning and learning to put into practice. Where am I unnecessarily leaking energy, where this energy can be used for creation of this something new?
Yeah. And it's like, consider yourself an antenna. Your life is life force. It's flowing through you. Where your attention goes, the energy flows, so to speak. So that releasing is about releasing the data of the past so the creative can rise within you. That's that feminine receptivity. And it doesn't mean you burn all things from the past or any of the creations of society now. It means like there is some purity within it, but you have to be open and ready to receive the purity of yourself so you can bring that forth. We're in this energy of creation. And it's this air energy. Think of Pisces as the first house, Aquarius as the 12th. There's a concept, an idea, a spirit blowing down the mountains into this valley, and it's meeting cold and hot. You know, imagine there's a volcano down there, and it's creating this steam, and that steam is blowing over the valley of what could be. And you're bringing your spirit, your fire across this void. So let's see what we can get from the Tarot of Sacred Kingdoms to kind of speak to this process for us. Here's what it looks like on the back side. And on the split, we got the Page of Swords. So what ideas, what information is rising not only within you, but from the external world. And it's not just information through the computer, through the news, through other people. It's the animals, it's nature, it's the wind, it's the trees, it's all your senses. We should be open to the idea of concepts, but not bound to them. So think of Aquarius rising in these times, grounding into Taurus, 29 degrees, anaretic to anaretic. It's this, the leadership of the self in receptivity to what could be. So how do you ground your senses in here? Let's see how we can fall into the flow for this last bit of the astrological year of the wood snake. So right away we got Two of Cups. I'll show that in a moment here. Just want to get a few more cards.
Yeah, the wood snake that became a fire horse with the new moon in Aquarius. And also, to remind everyone, we only have 3 more lunations left with Uranus in Taurus.
All right. Oh, okay. This is
wow, a lot
interesting.
of majors.
Yeah. All right, so right off the bat, we have the Two of Cups here. We will take pictures of this. I'm just trying to get a good angle here. So Two of Cups, we see there are 2 women here, each holding what looks to be a candle or starlight in their hands. It's Two of Cups, often it is like a soul union with another, but it's you have to be in union with yourself first in order to find the depth of yourself in another or in this world or in relation. And when you are, it's not about perfection or reaching an aim, it's about a process. It is the development of your consciousness becoming from the unconscious to the manifest consciousness, and how you relate to the forms of reality, how you relate to the elements of all potential from within yourself. This is the Magician card here. And as you can see, this guy is quite the fashionista. He's got some sunglasses and he's sitting in a dark room and he has this dragon coming out of a candle.
The fire horse.
Yeah, the fire horse. So imagine the fire horse is a little, a seahorse, and you got it in this little glass. You know, you're feeding it, you're nourishing it, you're nurturing it. You're expanding the cup slowly, and you're adding some elements that benefit the horse. Maybe more salt water, maybe some plants, maybe some other life, so that it can find relation of its expanding consciousness. It's not just what's within the confines of our conception, the narratives of reality of our societies and our cultures, or even our past. It's about where are we bringing our awareness to? How are we expanding with that through creation? And we've got the Lover's card here, the cosmic love. And of course, we do find this in others, one another. But you have to recognize it within yourself first. And it doesn't matter what level of consciousness you are, because you're always growing. And who's for you is usually right on time. Even though you may drift apart, grow apart, right here, right now is all that matters. This is a cosmic dance that we're working through, that we are creating through. And that, to me, is a true representation of the Hierophant. It's the union with sacred life, not denying and writing it down in books for other people to memorize, but like honoring what is the creative potential of all things, of yourself. How do you not go from one polarity to the other? How do you not become an aesthetic? How do you not become so hedonistic that you lose meaning within this journey of life, this creative potential? And how do you not put out the fire in order to keep the epitomes of belief alive for another year, another decade, another age? Great year. So union with yourself and others. And on that process, on the bottom of the deck, we have the Fool. And this is a very interesting depiction of the Fool. You see this giant white wolf and this traveler here, this guy with the staff. He's going through the frozen tundra, but he's fueled by the fire of life. The spirit of human heritage is what we're bringing forward. And that's what it takes to go through the valley of death, of good and evil, of light and dark, of the known and unknown. And that's how we bring forward this spirit of Aquarius, the Knight of Swords. I know the Knight of Swords is a messenger of air. It is ideas. It is bringing your spirit forward, your message forward, your creation forward. Do you want to speak on these?
Sure. Like for me, all of these cards, when I look at them put together, like are speaking very loudly the story of like how I still feel really strongly that this is all because, well, I mean, the Aquarius New Moon seeded energy, Aquarius New Moon solar eclipse I'm talking about, with the fire horse seeded energy, which we cannot possibly understand. So don't even try. It's just like, okay, there was a new moon in Aquarius, 28 degrees, reset, blah, 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 Aquarius, let's see where it goes, hey? And leave it at that, because this energy is not to be yet understood. It was just the seeding process. Now I'm looking at the Virgo, feeling into the Virgo, and the Virgo full moon really brought a lot of a lot of mess to the surface. Virgo likes to tidy up things, okay? I mean, people with Virgo, they know that there is need for organization, obviously not to generalize everyone, but Virgo generally tends to be, you know, like into organizing things, wanted things to be in certain order. So everything that is out of order, everything that is at that crisis point, out of balance in our life became very conscious to us, especially because of the Mercury retrograde, you know, like things have been regurgitated from the gutters, right, literally. So with the Two of Cups, for me, because this is of course Cancer, right, Cancer, yeah. We are learning about who is that I, you know, who is speaking, who is that I, who is the I that is trying to protect me from this situation, who is the I that is feeling jealous, who is the I that is, you know, feeling ashamed or insignificant. We are learning all these identities and facing face to face to like, is this who I really am, or is this a story, is this an identity I adopted? So all of these things are coming up to the surface, even with regards to the macro, right? Like, how is this impacting the I, you know? So there are so many things that are happening, you know, on the macro, in the individual and in the collective, but at the bottom core of that is like to recognize who is the I, you know, who is the I, like who am I, you know, like with the Two of Cups, you know, me and my higher self, we're becoming more conscious of who we really are. And that's what I feel these energies are really bringing. They are shaking us, waking us, breaking us out of that shell, you know, the Capricorn, the Saturnian version of Aquarius, the former manifested form. Maybe you think I was the rebel, I was the black sheep of the family, and I lived with that stigma, that label all my life. But is that really who I am? It's just maybe the role I had to play for a certain period of time, but I'm tired of it. Now I want to be someone else. I just want to be myself, right? So these three are perfectly aligned with the Fool, of course, being at the bottom of the deck, because we are in the year 10, the 0 and the 1. So the Fool is just as important as the Magician. And it's interesting because just like in the first card, we are learning about who is the I, you know, who is the I. We also learning about, okay, well, maybe I will need to go alone, you know, maybe the people around me don't understand, maybe they don't want to change, maybe, you know, I want to change, they don't want to change. So, you know, with the Wolf, it's about, Wolf can be a pack, part of the pack, but they can go alone. They can be the Alpha, they can be the Sigma, you know. So we are learning that, okay, who is the I? And if I need to, I'll stay and stand on my own until my tribe will come, until I find my pack. So whatever that is, you create it, you know. So we are now going through this process of understanding who is the I, because the I will then decide what am I going to be creating. What is the I? You know, is the unconscious conscious? Is the former identity that will create? And that is the choice. You know, because we all have a free will choice. What are we choosing? What we're creating? And the Hierophant is saying that will be a new foundation. You know, so who is the I? You're learning about yourself, you know, through this eclipse season, you know, through this fire horse energy. A lot of things are becoming conscious very quick. You know, there might be moments realization, and they're teaching us what it is that I want to create based on who do I choose to become. You know, there are many choices to choose from. Just as I said moments ago, we only have 3 lunations left with Uranus in Taurus in another lifetime. You will never experience Uranus in Taurus ever. You know, maybe if you are tiny, you know, a little baby watching this, which I doubt, you know. So yeah, we're creating this new foundation, you know, on the shoulders of the wise, of the old. So what is your foundation that you want to create? Because the ancestors didn't sacrifice for you to copy paste their suffering. They sacrificed so you can have a better life. So who is your I? Because that will then create the foundation of your future, which is your choice. And don't follow the pack if for now you have to stand alone in order to figure out what is your 0 point. So this is what they speak to me.
Yeah, realize for realization. And following the pack, a lot of what's happening now, it's testing and tempering us. Can we stand alone? Do we need to defend what has been? Do we need to defend our country, defend our religion, stand for rights in an unjust system? Can we see a little bit further ahead down the road? What is this fight actually going to bring us? What is it for? Is it worth putting your creative potential into a dying, ending cycle, or to put something into something new, a new cycle rising? Prometheus energy, the Promethean age. That's what we're heading into right now.
There is a lot of fire on all of these cards.
Holding the fire, the purity of your spirit, and letting the alchemy of life create your awareness and move with that.
But as I said to Aaron, I feel the need somehow to use this deck, which I use very rarely. It is called Dark Mirror. Dark Mirror. So it's to reflect the shadow, certain shadow, to bring to the surface the shadows. And I usually use this deck in Scorpio season, but hence we had this weekend with Moon in Scorpio. Now finally Moon is in Sagittarius, but that was not a weekend for the light of heart, right? Faint of heart. So I felt the need to use this deck, and let's see what unconscious is going to point out to with regards to the energies we are transforming and transmuting at this time. So this is the Dark Mirror. What is the shadow we have to look at? All right, Alone in the World, number 6, and at the bottom, Queen of My World. All right, let's see if there is something else. Fragmentation and Anger and Chains. Okay. These are very interesting cards. They have also lunation phases in them and the numbers. So Alone in the World, that's number 6. Then we had the Queen of the World, which is another number 6, 24. The woman in a red dress. And then we had, when I cut the deck, there was a fragmentation, 27, which is the number 9. And then we have 29, which is the number 11, 9/11, to me the SOS call, and this is the Anger and the Chains. So for me, when I look at this card, many of us feel like this. Perhaps it's the Fool, you feel if I want to do something different, live differently, then I'm alone, I'm going to be abandoned, everybody's going to turn their back on me. So the 6, 6 is normally the number of harmony and balance, it's the Venus number. And again, here we got the Venus, or Lilith, you can say, or Black Moon Lilith. So it's interesting, here you got two women figures, both cards are number 6, and this one is like, oh, I feel all alone, no one around me, I'm all naked, vulnerable. And then this woman, she owns it, even though she is in the eyes, she owns it. She owns all the fiery energy. She seems to be and she holds the spear. She seems to be ready to conquer the world. So I feel this is like perhaps through the chaos, anger, and the situation that are happening with the number 11, master number frequency. This is what Aaron and I spoke before, just because the things looks certain way, there is still a divine purpose behind it, even though from our human perspective, it is not perceived or experienced that way. And that's, we have the right to feel that way about it because we are having a human experience. Okay, great spirit, you have this great plan, but there are still bad things happening in the world. So I feel this is what's bringing to the surface all of this, the fragmentation of human psyche. We've been divided, fragmented, we had to survive, so we created all these pseudo identities, ego identities in order to survive. That's all coming to the surface through all these chaos and situations that are happening. All of this is coming to the surface. The sense of isolation, the sense of all these fragmented aspects of myself that needs to survive, that needs to be protected. But at the same time, it's also an opportunity for us to rise, right? To embody through these energies that are available available to us, all this fire, and there'll be more so, of course, once we enter into Aries season, more fire. And then once Mars moves into the sign of Aries as well, which will be in April, there will be more fire, right? So it is, we either can allow the fire to consume us, more anger, more chaos, more destruction, or use that fire to create something new in this world where you feel alone. But, you know, we all came here alone, we live alone, and in between we have the opportunity to create. So I feel that there is a lot of that very likely playing out for many, where they feel, because of these energies that we are experiencing individually and globally, they feel alone, they feel afraid, and yeah, like, this feels like a illusion, like it feels like something that is unattainable, you know, to feel like I'm the queen of my world, in charge of things, you know, the creatrix through the divine feminine.
Yeah,
what comes to you looking at these cards?
Yeah, I mean, alone in the world, really, you're born alone, you die alone, but you're never alone, truly. You know, if we were just here to be alone, there'd be no need. But in your sense of creative and your feminine energy and your cosmic energy, you're a creation of the divine and the disgust. You are all things, your full plenum perspective. And in this world, we have to become. We have to stand firm in a sense of identity. Otherwise, we get pushed aside. We get pulled in the undertow. We get kicked to the curb, so to speak. So a lot of people would rather be doing that of their own volition. But think of the queen in a kingdom. You know, they say the king rules the kingdom, but the queen is actually the link between heaven and earth. This is how a king truly is able to be the figurehead. He must have a connection to the feminine, which is the reason, which is the actual purpose. And so with this energy, it reminds me of both, you know, the Queen of Swords, Lady Justice, and Pallas Athena with that spear. And so this is the creative intelligence of the divine. This is the ability to defend your kingdom. And it's not about defending the past or an ideal of what that is, but the sovereignty of who you are as an individual and who other people are as an individual, so that we can come together with not only one another, but with our shadow aspects here. You see this figure, it's got wings, like it's emerging from the darkness. It's coming out of a process of realization. And there's keys here attached to this being. And the keys are unlocking us from this anger and chains. And that's the narratives of the past. That's the stories we tell ourselves, what the world tells us who we are, how we gotta be, you know, what we're fighting for, what we're living for. And so honoring the darkness within yourself, learning the depths of what it is to be human, to be alive in this world, is to honor all sides without becoming them. That's how you break patterns. You have to honor it for what it's teaching you. The teacher is not above the teaching. And just because you go through experiences doesn't mean that that's all you are. That's part of the process. These are just different elements within your life that you are alchemizing through the hermetics of life. You are realizing your language. And life is art. So how do we do that? Well, it's not about replicating or trying to perfect what's already been created. It's about falling into Wu Wei, the unknown, embracing the darkness and saying, okay, well, let me be the light in this process.
Yeah, just like the Fool card. But also when I was looking at this card, and like you said, perfectly said and pointed out the key, because I know that in many cases, you know, like, and I don't know exactly how it's being said, but like with regards to Chiron, you know, we know Chiron is the key between Saturn and Uranus, and they say your wounds are your gift. Your wounds are your gift to humanity. So all these aspects of ourselves that are wounded, when we in ourselves go through the process of healing and restoration, they become gifts for other people, because also, well, first they will feel energetically that you have something they can learn from you because you overcome, you maybe a few steps ahead, you know, of the journey that they on, and also they will feel that you understand because you're going through stuff, you feel like wounded, you feel like I'm not perfect or whatever, you know, so it makes you more compassionate again once we embrace the totality of who we are, and people can feel it, you know, the less I judge myself, the less I will judge others, and people can feel it, they can read it in your energetic field, even though this is not happening consciously, you know, but we are all rubbing off each other's energy, and we are energetic being, we enter the room, we can feel, you meet someone, you can feel that person's energy. So this is all happening, you know, in many cases very unconsciously, but yeah, the wound is the gift. So all these fragmented aspects of ourselves that put together to become whole again, they become a gift. They are the gift that we can offer to one another.
Yeah, that's the friction of relation. Just think from the unknown to the known. We are walking that fine line between them, 2 points, those polarities. That's the temperance of life. So I'm going to pull a few cards from the Wild Unknown Tarot, and let's see if we can get a couple ideas on this energy process here. We're learning new language, and language isn't just regulated or relegated to the mind. It's the felt presence of experience. And what is your Ten of Cups? What nourishes your spirit? What is a celebration of life, not a denial? You know, the world wants us to deny life so that it can replicate a previous concept, an idea of an earlier age, which is all fine and dandy, but it's up to you and I to help make it something better. And we're not going to make it better by contributing. You know, the problem, or the mind that creates the problem isn't the mind that creates the solution. It's a teacher. And so you have to be a student in life. You have to embrace both hubris and nemesis in order to grow. And so a student is usually willing to share what it is they think they know. And in that process, and living in that ignorance, they gain gnosis. And gnosis is what other people write about as knowledge until they learn it themselves and they realize the book has no meaning, you gotta live life. So let's get a few more cards on this Ten of Cups. Do you want to speak on that 10 at all?
No, at this point, I'll wait for the further.
All right. It's not speaking, so I'm gonna cut it. Oh, this one. All right, the Tower here. Burning the forms of the past. You know, the trees, the forest, it burns down from time to time. Let's take what's on the bottom. Mother of Cups. All right, so a forest lasts a long time because it goes through a process of growth and death. It's when diseases come, when animals, beings become parasitic and they require the creation of existence to build towns, roads. So we go through these stages of playing the victim and the tyrant, and we learn what it is to be a savior and also a martyr in the process. But that's not the only game in town here. The natural expression of nature, at least in the forests, in the woods, in the jungles, it's about burning down and rising back up. When the trees burn, all the ashes settle on the ground, and the minerals, the purity of what was in the form itself, seeps back into the earth, and the seeds of the previous age are born again through the decay. And you can see the world seems to be burning down, it seems to be turning. We're running into the polarities of light and dark, good and evil, narratives of the old story. And in that process, what is your narrative? What do you feel? What's nourishing your spirit? What brings you to this Ten of Cups here? It is your capacity to love, and what that is self-compassion. Can you value yourself? Can you show the ones you care about and the ones you don't that, you know, they actually matter because you yourself matter? You're a divine being of creation. you have the capacity for good and evil, but you choose what not only serves you for the highest, but others as well. And on the bottom of this, underneath the Mother of Cups, which is the Queen of Cups, we have this Son of Wands, which is
Knight?
the Knight of Wands, the fire horse. So what do you bring it for? What is the cultivation of your spirit, your heritage as a being of life, not just of the bone, blood, body, but of the psyche, the elements of psyche? How do you bring that into balance with all creation? And how do you fly with that energy?
The High Priestess.
Yeah, well, this is I guess High Priestess would be a good way to do it. But,
All right, so now with the Ten of Cups, which was the first card that come out, this is the ultimate, and I mean Ten of Cups, that's the final decan, right, of Pisces, so that would be Scorpio. So that is the ultimate when you fully realized, in the physical body who you really are, and you are able to master everything. You able to master your mind, to step aside, to channel your higher self, to connect to the infinite potential of the universe. You are able to master your emotions, so you understand they are just the messengers. They're not here to control your life or to screw you over or anything. They're just showing you where maybe a boundary was crossed, maybe there is a dysregulation, maybe you need to pay attention to this, old pattern coming around, okay, no thank you, whatever it is. So it is not about this is happening to me as a victim. I was like, universe is continuously speaking with me, communicating with me to guide me on this path, of life, just like, the fool, being guided all the time, just like Aaron said, you're alone, but you're never really alone. None of us is ever alone, right? So we have the 10, the ultimate, the reset, once you are fully self-realized, emotionally, like being fully embodied emotional being, the spirit in the physical body being connected to all there is, the Pisces with the final decan, the Scorpio, the sense of self-empowerment by understanding the infinity of everything. And at the moment, everything that's going on with this crazy stuff, again, in individuals' lives, and most predominantly, obviously, because that's what casting the biggest shadow and has the biggest voice and noise, what's going on at a global level, right, the geopolitical, and so it's the Tower moment where we really forced to pay attention. This is the Mars, this is the Uranus, so like there is a violence, there are unexpected things happening that make us to really pay attention and really consider, is this the world that I want to be living in? Is this the energy, is this the place where I should focus my energy? And with the Mother of Cups, this is part of the cups, obviously, like this is where we fully are able to embody the emotional intelligence. This is, in a sense, it is like the mother, right, the cancer card. So you are, it's again, we're going back to the same thing, who is the I know who I am, and I know that I came here for something else. Maybe this is the contract of these people. They came here to cause the chaos, they came here to cause the destruction, so they offer the contrast, but I know who I am, so I'm protecting this cup, my purpose, my passion, my intuition, my own path in this life, because we are all here for different things, and with the Son of Wands, that obviously offers the opportunity, like that Nine of Wands, to run off with it, to find your own journey, like Nine of Wands, I think traditionally associated also with Sagittarius, to create my own story. And we are recording this just as Jupiter is slowly but surely stationing to go direct again, as of being retrograde as of 11/11, again, very destined energy, Jupiter retrograde in Cancer, being influenced by every single lunation we have since June until the end of June this year. So we are very attuned, we are being very attuned. And when Aaron cut the deck, there was the High Priestess, the butterfly you've seen with the infinity symbol. There is nothing new under the sun. What is new is that we are now in this experiment where we are learning to allow the higher self to be present, to remember who we really are, and live alive in a physical form on this planet Earth in a way that the spirit would consciously, without forgetting, and being, like cast in these roles of the victim, martyr, prosecutor, whatever, hero, savior. And this is the time of the transition where we transiting through from these old roles that we play that no longer serve, and the way we know is through these situations that are happening unexpectedly, violently, to remind us that I outgrown this, these things are being burned down, so a new can rise, a new imperium, a new kingdom can be created for all of us to enjoy. And we are remembering the roles we came here to play in this new world. So now we are in these transitions, and it's interesting because on the Night of Wands you have the snake, and we just came out of the year snake, and like somehow, when I looked at it quickly, it looks like a dandelion, the one like you puff and like, oh, make a wish. So the snake here offered again the contrast, like, what is your wish? If this is the unwanted, what would you prefer, right? And now with the fire horse, which is the Knight of Wands, you can run off with it, you can run off with the wish, but in order to do that, we need to learn to master the energies of the physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional body.
Yeah. And speaking of that cut, the High Priestess, this is a Two of Pentacles, but it did look like the High Priestess, and the High Priestess is Major Arcana number 2. So it is balancing what is and what could be through the processes of life. And if you think of this Ten of Cups, we have the new moon at 28 degrees Pisces, which is the final decan, which is the Ten of Cups decan. And that's a spirit settling, an emotional spirit settling into earth, into form. We're coming out of these eclipse energies, and we are coming into that final lunation with the world setting in motion, or trying to finalize a form from the past. And when we speak of things mentally, we're trying to make sense of things. We're trying to share perspectives, a language, a communal logos that we can both resonate with and gain information from, or a sense in similarity or connectedness. And it's also an opportunity for you to feel into who are you becoming. What could this world be becoming other than the stories and the narratives of the past? Because I, for one, feel that no matter what we do as humans, as a species, we can't alter reality in a way that changes the course of time from where it's going. We are just shaping the process, and the process is our ignorance, our knowledge, and the temperance between the two. So in this time, feel into who you're becoming and bring that spirit online, so that when we hit Aries in the new start of the astrological year, we can hold the fire of what it is that we've been cultivating through our lives, not just individually but collectively, and how we can ground that and embody that through our Taurian nature. How can we become fertile with a potential and find the freedom of life in that, so that our spirit can grow, rather than tending to the dying flames of the past alone. So, it's about finding your spirit and cultivating it, I feel.
And it's also like you would say with the forest analogy, like when you have the same trees, they become diseased, and then when the disease comes, that it takes out the entire forest. So now these new energies are coming. They are coming and becoming present in our consciousness in order to plant the new trees. So we become more resilient. So there is a new expression of consciousness. So if something reaches expiry date, there is something new already present to take its place. So we really are in this transitionary stage where we are becoming conscious of what is and what is not holding a value. And just like Aaron said earlier on, is that whatever we've been holding on to for a long time, religion, culture, beliefs, stories, whatever it is this actually still serving us now? So this is where these feelings with the Jupiter in Cancer are becoming very intensified, so we can no longer hide from the truth. We cannot just pretend that, oh yeah, this is okay, this just we'll make do, because you're just gonna run out of battery like the laptop. So then you have to plug it in, because there is something that has to nourish and nurture your soul, give you more of that fire to keep going, to keep living, because otherwise if you live in somebody else's dreams, somebody else's stories, you are just a battery for someone else, for a different device, then there is nothing to fuel up your own physical vessel, your own source of energy is gone. So that's why we are now really in this Piscean age, where we are starting to understand a different meaning about everything, especially with this new moon in Pisces, with the Neptune now for the first time being a sign of Aries, and obviously having a mutual reception with Mars, because Mars is in a sign of Pisces. We are starting to feel differently about everything. Jupiter as the traditional ruler of Pisces. After this retrograde, things will feel different. So suddenly you can look at things million different ways and try to logically explain it, but things just feel different. So there is that.
Yeah, and do you want to pull one more?
Yeah, which deck would you like to use? We have the energy, Oracle of the Energies, I think it's called. This is Oracle of Portals, or the Cosmic Crossroads.
Well, the portal one looks more interesting to me right now. Yeah.
This one?
And we are more similar than we are different as living beings, but we shouldn't ground ourselves in the negative similarities. Instead, we should ground ourselves in the positive dissimilarities. What are our unique gifts? How do we bring Aquarius in? It's the diversity that brings unity. So don't fall into the monoculture mindset of the current age and paradigm, what we're going through. These are all statics building in dynamics. So stand up, look over the hills, get up high to where you can feel resonance with the changing times. Expand your vision, grow into that.
Okay, on that note, we're gonna see about the portals. So we are still in that eclipse portal, still in the final month of the former astrological year, and with all of these conjunctions we've been experiencing, every conjunction represents beginning and beginning of a cycle. So let's see what these portals that are simultaneously happening for us, what is being offered. And also, of course, equinox will be a portal of its own. Whether you are in upper or lower hemisphere doesn't matter, Future.
Wow, this is interesting.
Beyond fear.
This is very good.
All right.
It's perfect.
You got some good cards over here. Graduation, the past, future, beyond fear, initiation. All right, I'll let you speak first.
Well, what we're talking about, we're in that changing time. This is a graduation. Now, not everyone moves on after graduation. Some people have to go back to school to finish off some credits they need to complete, or there's a class that failed, they need to hunker down and get through it and graduate through passing these classes. It's also about foundations. When you lay a foundation, it's a graduation between one phase, one cycle to another. Say you buy land and you're creating a farm, a homestead. As soon as you start breaking rock, breaking dirt, you've moved from one cycle to the next. And in that process, you're unifying the past with the future here. There is no set destination. There are many destinations, and you're set in your process, and it's the fool's journey. And so a lot of these, it looks like she's walking underwater through the emotions of the past. And the emotions are the only immortality that I actually care about in reality, because these emotions are shared by all of us and our ancestors. And we cultivate our awareness through these emotions, the muses. And so remember where we've come from, and it's not the end, it's where we're going that actually matters. But how do you get there is a process of understanding yourself here now. what have you outgrown, what have you learned, and how do you create new curriculum? How do you go forward beyond the fear? How do you break the patterns? This is why we tend to hang on to the information, and we trust the science, and we trust the priests and the gurus, and we lord the history books over one another as if these are great accomplishments and that's the end game. They were great accomplishments for their use and their utility in getting us to where we are. But unless you jump off the plane, unless you soar into new territories, you're never going to know, and you're never going to initiate higher spirit. I can't even hang on to it. It's so hot.
They jump in the cards.
So this is 29, which is after 28.
The 11.
Can you believe it? It's 11. It's another 11. So that's what we're, next year is 11?
Or 2, I mean,
Yeah.
if you want to simplify it, but it's the year 11.
It's the unity of yourself becoming in receptivity to the creative future. So you're bringing yourself beyond your fear into this initiation of the unknown. And this is an immortal initiation. All our ancestors and all of our future ancestors will be going through this. There's always going to be something next. We don't exactly know what it is, or it wouldn't need to exist. It wouldn't happen. I do not believe in simulation theory. I don't believe in holograms or the Maya. I know that for a time that's what it is, and it changes to something else. It's the ineffable is beyond our conception. So how do you co-create in the freedom that allows?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's interesting for me, the colors, because these two have the same colors, and then these two have the same colors, so just like Aaron was saying, currently, and I mean currently, Saturn is already in a sign of Aries, so we graduated, we graduated from the Capricorn, from the, Pluto in Capricorn, the Saturn in Pisces, closing the cycle, because of course Pisces is the final sign of the zodiac, if we go from Aries. So humanity, as a species, we graduated from the Piscean age, and that now has been underlined by the Saturn ending in the sign of Pisces, or ending his transit in the sign of Pisces, and Pluto being in a sign of Aquarius. So now it's like really underlined, no mistake, we are in Aquarian age. Uranus is the ruler of Pluto, the modern ruler. Saturn is the manifested Aquarius of the past, so we're going for Uranus, which will move soon into the sign of Gemini. So that's all about these choices. So we graduated from the past, here a new future is unfolding for us, and we are being initiated into it, if not all the way, then through the past mistake, reoccurrence of the past, triggers of the past, we had a card of fragmentation, like we can no longer escape that the past is gone, and also we can no longer keep repeating the past. It's just not allowed. It's just not available. We have to go explore new territories, go beyond the fear. This is very like a Sagittarian card. Like a daredevil jumping off the plane. I've been in this position 4 times in my life, so I know what it feels like, and I can tell you, from up there, world looks very differently. Once your chute opens and you're just floating through the air, all you can hear is nothing. It's quiet, there is nothing. You're so far away from everything, from everyone, maybe you can hear some bird song, maybe you hear nothing, just the sound of the air, so I really feel that when we get beyond the fear, they even say, like, when you were a child, when you were afraid of this something hiding behind the bed or under the bed or behind somewhere, a wardrobe, and then your mom and dad will come and shine the lamp or a candle, and then you can see there is nothing there, then, like suddenly there is a new story, opportunity to create a new story about those dark places. So this is what I feel, we graduated in a sense, we graduating from the fear of living, right? Because we're not really living, we just dying, we just surviving every day, we just like holding on to this dead life, you know, this life of restriction in a box that somebody else created for us, but we fighting to keep it alive. Like, no, we don't want nothing to change, we want everything to stay the same. Really? You know, how many people are really living? Most people are just dying, just surviving. So we graduated, you know, this Piscean way of living is gone. That's it. You know, here it is. Here is your credits. You know, that's it. And now it's saying, okay, it's time to move from the past into something else. I mean, in a sense, like we will say that the past is bound to repeat itself until we learn, right? So we are like, yeah, you know, we kind of like, you can say you're stuck in the wheel of reincarnation, and just we are doomed to repeat the same mistake, but actually no, that's finished now. You know, the wheel of reincarnation is changing. You know, there's not gonna be you know, spitting you into the same little thing. You know, like there is an evolution happening here. You know, the circles are widening, the things that were ancient are actually becoming new, being used in a new way. So yeah, so we are being initiated into a new portal, which might look maybe ancient, maybe it's new, maybe it's something completely different. Who the hell knows? And for that we have to go beyond the fears. Nobody knows what the future holds, because the future is Uranian, you know, the future is Aquarius. It's saying like, well, it means different things to different people. But in order to go wherever we go in, we have to be able to go beyond the fear, because the fear is the false evidence appearing real, right? It's the thing that is making us play small, and we're not allowed to do that anymore because, you know, Jupiter is in Cancer, so to be moving into Leo, you're not allowed to play small anymore. So the past is not available. You know, the only thing that's here is present, that is going to lead you to future. You cannot go into the past, you know, even though you can say you're going to be repeating the mistakes of the past, but now with Saturn in Aries, even that pattern has changed. So we're going to look at things a little bit differently from the higher perspective, and once we take the leap of faith, who knows where you're gonna land. So in a sense, this is the future that's opening up for us. It ain't gonna be the same for everyone, but it ain't gonna be what it was, and that is the one thing that's guaranteed. Whatever we think that is gonna be something different. So, you know, when you know that all that happens is becoming unavailable, then what would you choose? You know, what would you choose? If you could choose a whole new life, what would you choose? You know, and it is not about comparing to who's gonna choose what, and is it better, is it worse, am I late, am I doing it right? It's about, well, what feels good to you. We had so many cups card over here, so this is the gift of the Jupiter in Cancer. It's bringing up to the surface so many emotions that you can't ignore them anymore, and everybody just wants to feel better, right? They want to feel happy. What does that mean? Well, that's different thing for different people, and if the life you are experiencing at the moment doesn't make you happy, then it's hiding in the unknown, and there is only one way to find out what the hell it is, to take the leap. So I guess this is where we've been initiated too, with the fire horse, you know, either dragged behind or, you know, galloping alongside it or on the back of it, doesn't matter, either way you're going. So yeah,
honor that Jupiterian, Sagittarian, expansive spirit. Honor life as a ritual, and it's a process of creating your own mythology, so to speak. So with this energy, as Jupiter goes direct, it's going to be trining where this new moon point hits at the 28th degree of Cancer. It's going to be going and ingressing into Leo and trining Neptune and trining Saturn, and eventually trining the moon as the moon goes around every 28.5 days or so. So see where you can cultivate your emotions, allow the emotions to inform you. You know, you're not limited to the emotions of the past, you're expanding them. Your awareness is growing, your compassion is growing, and you are floating down the river of life. Sometimes you're crashing, sometimes you're swimming. So try and get into your own sense of growth in an awareness and swim towards the shore that makes you feel more expanded, better alive. You know, what is life? Can you make it better? Can you live a better life for yourself and share that with the ones you care about, share it with the world? It's up to us, really.
Yeah, what just came to me was Jupiter is going to conjunct South Node very likely before the end of the year, and we know Pluto is going to conjunct North Node next year in the sign of Aquarius. And alongside with all of it, when we move into the year of the fire goat, well, isn't that Saturn in Aries?
Oh,
Fire goat. So, I mean, here you've got it. So, this is, all present, future, and past energies colliding in a present moment with the end of the Pisces season soon to be.
yeah, very well said. So that's, I feel, a good place to end this energetic reading.
That's the wrap.
Yeah, that's a wrap. So hopefully this was beneficial for you. Take what resonates, leave the rest, and check out our other channels. We'll link them down below. If you're interested in astrology or perspectives outside the cards, check out those other channels. And thanks for watching, listening, and being.
And if you wish to connect with either of us or both of us together, we offer a lot of astrological services and also our service together called Alchemical Metamorphosis Process. Then definitely reach out. You can find a whole list of everything on my website moonlinesoul369.com, but you can also schedule any of these readings with Aaron as well if you more resonate with his energy. So there is plenty for picking, and if you would like to be supported at this time of great transformation, then definitely do reach out. And if you are celebrating birthday by any chance, then you also get 25% off any of the readings. So that's our gift from us to you.
All right. Thanks for watching. Take care, everyone.
Bye, everyone.